Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. This panel is super dear to my heart as like I'm amongst friends and we're kind of memeing in the backstage. It's like all of us haven't seen each other in a long time, but I'm excited to kind of welcome here. I never thought I'd see this where you connect and TESPA in one sentence on a panel. That's an inside joke for a long collegiate rivalries in the past, but I think I'm excited for this because I think we can all bury the hatchet and kind of really reflect because I think TESPA played a huge part in all of our lives, especially mine. I got to meet Kevin and Valerie, and that's how I got my gaming and esports career started at Heroes of the Dorm in 2016. And so I'm just happy to just pop out and finally go back to streaming and moderating this awesome panel. So today we're just going to have a lot of learning lessons learned, a lot of reflection, and just kind of hearing the people and the movers and shakers of TESPA and their story along, I think, like a 7-8 year runway in doing this. So cool. Let's jump right into it with introductions. I'm just gonna pick on Kevin as Kevin squared. Yeah, Kevin, just jump right in. Just kick things off with intros.
All right, so first off, I just got to say Kevin Hoang was kind of exaggerating the rivalry. It wasn't as intense as he's making it out to be. We're all friends in Collegiate. But hi, everyone. My name's Kevin He. I was the product manager of the chapter program for TESPA, and I was there from 2016 to 2020, so quite a bit. A lot of you guys, if you guys were in the collegiate scene back then, I maybe talked to you or had chapter councils with you or whatever. So if there's anyone that I know in chat, good to see you guys and gals. Right now, I'm half product manager, half product designer for a startup called RallyCry, where we're working on a new esports platform for smaller communities. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here with all my former coworkers and friends.
We can go like popcorn style, so anyone can jump in with intros. If not, okay, Alex, go. You pointed at Valerie, so it's
I
your turn.
thought I thought we were going in like the order of like the way this panel is shaped, but I
You
guess
have
I
to
will
point
jump.
to the panel that
Oh,
you're
my bad.
next to, and then
Yeah.
that whoever you point to.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I guess the ship has sailed. My name's Alex Tao. I actually started working on TESPA stuff also at Heroes of the Dorm back in the day. And I was the competitive lead for all Hearthstone and StarCraft programs for about like from 2016 to like 2019 ish. And yeah, and now I work on a few startups, and I currently actively manage a startup that designs and manufactures electric planes. Oh, am I
okay,
supposed to
now
pick
Valerie.
someone?
No,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
now Valerie. Okay, we're going.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fixing it.
Okay. Sure, thanks. I'm Valerie Wong. I joined TESPA when it was a local club on campus at UT Austin. So I've been involved in TESPA since like 2012, 2013-ish. My role at TESPA was the event support slash campaign manager. So basically, I was the person in charge of sending packages and choosing the schedule for chapter leaders to actually get swag and marketing materials and support. Oh, and now I'm kind of basically retired, so I just choose whatever I want to work on.
Valerie
Big
just
gig.
swagging on all of us.
Damn. All
Yeah, you
right.
know.
All right,
My
Billy.
turn.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Billy Sprout. Um, I had a lot of different roles during my time at TESPA, but until August of last year when I left, I had been involved in every tournament TESPA had ever run. So everything from the kind of boots on the ground tournament admin replying to angry people or happy people, looking at you, Fitzy, um, in support chat, all the way up to building the Overwatch Collegiate Championship for when did I start doing that? I think 2019 through 2020, um, and fostering the growth of the varsity system there. I now work for Mainline GG, which is a tournament platform company. We offer white labeled tournament platform and production services specifically to collegiate and scholastic clients. So if you ever want to run an intramural, let me know. And yeah, really excited to be here and finally chat with all my goobers again.
Very good. Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Nick Grayson. I got involved in TESPA through Kevin. I ran a bunch of Super Smash Bros. Melee tournaments and knew Kevin from school, and he was like, "Oh, TESPA wants tournament admins. You need to do Google Sheets and tournament formats." And I was like, "Those are two of my favorite things." So for a while, I did Overwatch tournaments, and then after a couple years of doing that, I switched over and focused more on esports tooling and technology, eventually working a little bit more on broadcast before leaving in November of 2019. Since then, I've worked a little bit on Dungeons and Dragons, like tabletop role-playing games at War Chief, and I'm also a product manager on Android at Google.
He's underselling War Chief, by the way. That's Chris Metzum's organization that really recently just obliterated its Kickstarter goals. He's really awesome.
Yeah, said it.
He's my favorite nerd.
Not ambitious at all, and then it worked great. We'll see if people like it.
Yeah, Kickstarter project, War Chief, D&D. Got it. No, that's awesome. And yeah, thanks so much, guys, for being here. And for everyone in chat, you guys can ask questions in the chat anytime. We're going to be logging them. So we're going to have a 10-minute Q&A at the 50-minute mark. So I'm just going to jump right in. I think the outline for today is like kind of breaking down the TESPA origins and then overall legacy of TESPA, and kind of just hearing like the personal journeys and development as you guys were in those roles, and also kind of looking into the future of like where you guys think things are heading, and you know, as you guys kind of laid definitely all of you guys here laid the foundation of what it is today. So I guess like this is like a history question. So you know, can you guys give I guess maybe just one or two answer this question, but like about the overview of TESPA and like how it started. This is like a new gen question, because I think like all of us were like, when we all started, we kind of all had to knew how TESPA got started. But I think there's a lot of new viewers in the chat, a new gen. So like how did TESPA get started? If anyone,
I feel like Valerie should take this question.
Yeah. From Texas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, I know, right? It was a really long time ago, honestly. Like I said, I joined TESPA in 2012, 2013, which is a little bit after they started doing events on a wider scale. So I guess if you're going to Google it, I started right before Lone Star Clash 2. So from my understanding is TESPA started off as a StarCraft 2 club and integrated League of Legends right when it was happening and becoming really popular. But I guess like how TESPA started was a bunch of us like talked about, okay, like we want to have things happen outside of just University of Texas at Austin, because we're already gathering people, other colleges within Texas. How do we do this at a larger scale? How do we invite all of like North America? And those were some of the conversations we had in coffee shops. Like, what are we going to name ourselves? Should we, obviously we can't call ourselves Texas Esports Association. That doesn't make any sense. And that's how like we turned into TESPA, which I think a lot of us regretted later because nobody knew what TESPA was, but that's how the TESPA name came about. So that's how we technically got started. And of course, we were already getting attention from publishers, and that's how we came under the Blizzard Entertainment umbrella and how we all got paid, honestly. So that's like everything leading up to like basically dorm. And somebody else can take it from there.
What's that?
Yeah, like the latter question was like, okay, building, you know, coffee shop to start up to some in the I believe it was acquired by Blizzard at some point, and then you guys all, how did the rest of you guys join TESPA? I'm sure because I think everyone pointed fingers at Valerie. I don't think you guys all went to UT Austin, so like how did you guys get into TESPA?
I can go first. I can probably just give a lowdown of what happened after college. So after TESPA was acquired by Blizzard, the founders asked for a bunch of interns to help out with the build out of the organization. And so of course they just went to all the biggest collegiate clubs at the time. Of course, UCSD was one of them, probably the biggest, no bias. And so we got a bunch of interns. I was one of the first wave of interns. A lot of the other original TESPA guys and gals were also interns. And so, yeah, we basically helped build out like the first tournaments, the first, event support packages, all those things, which were all very novel and cool ideas at the time. Still think they are. And then after college, they started hiring some of the interns full-time to help out with, again, the organization, because it was growing really fast and we were expanding to so many colleges. I think the first year of the internship, we went from like 30 clubs to like 150 or something like that. It was crazy. And so I know Billy was an intern with me and Valerie was an intern with me, but Alex and Nick first started off as contractors through
No, I was
our...
a contractor. Never an
Okay,
intern.
well, Valerie was a contractor, not a tournament admin like Alex and Nick. So one thing that I thought was really cool about TESPA was we tried really hard to create like a pretty above the average contractor experience for students. And then as much as possible, we tried to hire them full time whenever they were outstanding. And so Nick and Alex were obviously outstanding because they were full time and then went on to do really awesome things for TESPA. But most people who were full time at TESPA started off either as interns or contractors and then joined full time after college.
Alex, Nick, you have anything to add to that, or move on to the next question?
No, Kevin just summarized the whole history.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
Me
yeah,
too.
if there's anything missing, I just want you guys to chime in and whatever stories.
Yeah, I guess for like the ends of the strings, Kevin dragged me from UCSD.
Okay, that sounds like nepotism, so maybe not like drag, but like...
Not drag. I was gonna correct myself. I like grabbed a hold of you.
Why, of which he was a strong candidate, and I had no part in his...
Yeah. And then Alex, you were the chapter leader at UCLA, right?
Yeah, well, I started working on TESPA stuff because I first competed in the first Nacho Hearthstone tournament, and I thought the tournament was run so bad that I was one of those people that was complaining about it. And
Bro,
then
I was running Nacho.
The tournament op was like, and Logan was like, "Oh, you want to help with the next one?" And basically, I just started after. I think the first tournament I ever helped you guys run was Nacho 2.
Hey, all I gotta say is that if an organization gets complaints and then says, "Come work for us and do better," that's a great business decision.
Yeah, what was like
think...
that's nuts.
But Nacho 1 was flawless.
It's okay, Billy. Okay.
Oh, for anyone inside who doesn't know, Nacho was the acronym for the North American Collegiate Hearthstone Open, which was the first like big collegiate tournament that TESPA ran. But we call it Nacho because it's funny.
It was also the first big Hearthstone tournament, I believe, because that was...
Yeah, for anybody in chat that like wants a premise, it was like a 2,000 person single elim Hearthstone tournament.
It was great.
It was crazy.
Oh my gosh. So like, talk to me about the workplace during that time. It just seems like it was so creative. Like you have a bunch of interns just like making up programs and making up processes as you go. Was that what it was like? What it was like along the way? Like what was... A lot of you guys seems like it was your first few job or like first internship out of college. So what was that like?
Yeah, when I compare it to like other jobs that I've had since then and before, it was definitely like when people say you need to have a lot of initiative. Like I feel like that was the sort of the story for me, because there was like a lot of things that had to be done, but very like not a lot of experience on how to do things. And then like there was just sort of the way that things are traditionally done, which if you're coming at from a like fresh perspective, you can see a lot of problems with it. Like Alex was saying, like, oh, this is how we've always done it, but doesn't mean it's right. So there was like lots of places to find ways of improving, but also at some point very little direction. So it was awesome if you like wearing a bunch of different hats and like finding your own challenges. Like that was, I guess, my perspective while I was there.
I completely agree. Like literally I think a lot of us found our positions in TESPA by saying like, I see this, I hate the way it's done, I'm going to do it better. And then honestly, because there was no real roadmap, we were honestly just competing with ourselves a lot of the time, which sounds like really like conceited to say, but I think sometimes we were our own best competitors.
Yeah, I mean,
type
to
of
be
individual.
fair, at the time there was really like no. We were like one of the only like national collegiate organizations, and really the only ones that did like event support. And so me and Valerie on like the community / event support side of things, we didn't really have any examples to go off of. So we were just like, oh, what if we did this? What if we did this? Our chapter leaders are asking for this. Can we do this? And so I would say that it felt like being in a startup, like a safe startup, because I thought that, you know, we were relatively like well taken care of and we had good resources and stuff like that. But it was definitely like if you didn't come up with ideas, no one would do it for you kind of thing, which was fun. And yeah, I think because of that, a lot of our contractors and interns, and well, you guys can attest, got to work on projects that I don't think contractors and interns would have normally gotten the chance to work on at other companies, just because
I think at some point someone planned a yacht party.
Okay, yeah, we don't talk about the yacht party.
I wasn't there for it,
secret.
but
It's a myth. It's a myth. It never happened.
Billy, were you saying something earlier?
Yeah, I was. There was a unique environment at TESPA where someone would pipe up in a meeting, and everyone else with like a really good idea, and everyone else in the meeting would be like, "Oh fuck, I wish I thought of that." Oh, sorry, can I swear? Oh heck, I wish I thought of that.
Yeah, actually, that's a good
constant. And if you can imagine my stupid face trying to compete with the brilliant ideas of people like Kevin and Valerie.
Okay, please.
It was a constant challenge, and that's what I really miss. Because it felt like everyone was always upping the ante.
Yeah, I think one of the best parts was that all of us, pretty much everyone who works at TESPA, came from being a chapter leader or a club leader, and so we all had like the same brain, but like different. And so we were all full of good ideas, and we all knew exactly what like the chapter leader / club president experience was like, and what was hard, and what we wanted. And so it was really easy for us to get into alignment on ideas. We were just like, someone would be like, oh, what about this? And I would be like, oh yeah, that's great. But if it was stupid, everyone would be like, oh, that's stupid, like immediately.
yeah, we all had like this really good shared, pretty nuanced understanding. Like we didn't need to be like, oh, we should check data to figure out how people will respond to this, because we're all like, we know how collegiate gamers work. I am a collegiate gamer.
Okay, just for everyone out there, we didn't like ignore data, but we did have good intuition, we like to think.
That's true, yes.
Yeah, we had good intuition. Oh, sorry to interrupt. But we had good intuition, but holy crap, did we do a lot of surveys. And we had like, I forgot what you called them, Kevin, but you had like a round table where basically we would talk one-to-one with chapter leaders. If like, because at a certain point, we were always aware that we were several years out of college, and we don't need actually to tell people what they need. We needed people to tell us what they need. And it was our job basically to say, we're going to give it to you, and we're going to do it in a way that's convenient and beneficial to everybody. That's honestly was more so of our job. Because I think we had like, you know, the intuition, but not the detailed plans. And we didn't know how esports was changing, because it was changing over the years. Sometimes for the better, and honestly, sometimes like a huge pain in the butt.
But always for the better.
Yeah. That's a good segue, because like, you know, all very experimental, very kind of hacky, you know, tag team work on projects that you think it's worth solving, but all kind of following like a collective intuition. And so like in your guys' mind, like what was the legacy that you of TESPA now that you guys look back after being a couple years out of TESPA? And then what do you guys think your like TESPA's most valued contributions to the development of the gaming ecosystem? Big loaded question on more macro.
Yeah, I think this is also an interesting question now, given like having watched honestly, having watched Blizzard over the last, I don't know, like N years, it's because like organizations like that are, they're just companies, and really like the things that the way I think about this is the things that I love about that stuff is usually the people. Like what I liked about working at Blizzard was the people in this call and a handful of other people, and so like the legacy I think is really the effect that we had on people. Like when we did summer retreats and flew a bunch of chapter leaders out, they got like a really extra special experience. But even like the distributed effect of people being able to take part in our events, I think like I know for a fact that like we've made a really good impact on a bunch of people's lives.
I thought Nick was going to say his legacy was the MMR system or something.
Oh yeah, dude. Towers of Doom, the tournament format.
Can we spend 30 minutes talking about tournament formats, please?
I was told that we
No.
weren't going to talk about tournament formats this panel. That was
The
the
competitive folks
caveat I
outnumber.
wanted for this panel.
We outnumber the community folks. We could do it if we wanted.
All right.
Well, anyways,
Everyone is going to have different answers, but for me, I think my favorite legacy, or like the thing that I want to remember TESPA by, and what I want to keep with me my whole life, is all the different chapter leaders and clubs that I personally got to meet and work with, which is crazy to think about because we had hundreds of chapters. Every year I got to meet new ones. Some of them I didn't get to know that well, but a lot of them I did get to know very well. And so I like to think that 10 years or like 20 years from now, those chapter leaders are going to be like the CEOs and the founders and the innovators and like the general managers and directors of the gaming and esports industries. And I'd like to think that, every time I go to any type of gaming event or conference, I'll just be like, hey, it's you, like you founded this thing, like you did this thing, like it's awesome. And I really want to see like our generation of collegiate leaders succeed. I think TESPA was around right at the beginning of kind of like collegiate being like a real scene. And so I think there's a lot of pressure on our collegiate generation to be the next like big movers in the gaming and esports space. And I know for a fact that there's so many crazy, talented, accomplished people, and a lot of them are doing really cool things already. And so I just want to, obviously I can't keep in touch with everyone, but I'd love to just see everyone grow up and do cool things as an adult. And then, when we're all 70, we can all sit in our digital rocking chairs and talk about summer retreat and stuff. That's my dream.
I think there are some core pillars to our community program that have hopefully stuck with the network of gaming clubs after we're gone, namely the importance of passing along the torch to the next generation before you graduate. Kevin did a lot of amazing work building out what was it called? The leadership
transition program.
Yes, exactly. That was really important. And then I think groups like UConnect are a testament to the other core element of the chapter program, which was we all have so much in common. Why aren't we talking to each other more, sharing knowledge, sharing passion, playing games? Because I sometimes feel weird about like if we look at the current generation of esports and gaming leaders, most of those people graduated from a TESPA chapter within the past 3 or 4 years. Sometimes I feel weird about like somewhat taking credit for that, mostly because it was Kevin and Valerie, but also when we ran this chapter program, we kind of pre-selected for the people who would be proactive enough to reach out. But at the end of the day, the TESPA chapter network was exactly that. It was a network of chapter leaders sharing knowledge and sharing stories and helping each other overcome the obstacles that are the same on every campus, but they were previously just fighting alone. So as long as those two things are upheld, I think we'll be fine without TESPA, but I do miss it.
Alex, anything to add?
No, I think they said it pretty well. I think at the end of the day, like we're all trying to achieve the same goal, whether it's through Uconnect or through TESPA of like pushing the boulder of collegiate esports forward. And whether or not TESPA is there at the end, it doesn't really matter because everyone will keep their memories and friendships that they've made through the time, and everyone will still be working really hard for a singular goal. So.
It's like the cheesiest thing I've ever heard Alex say.
Yeah, I don't know that.
The cheese, yeah, it's all good.
It's
The videos are coming
pre-recorded.
out.
Check PayPal.
Deep
Clip it.
fake.
All right, cool. So everyone said their piece. Like that's awesome. Like legacy is like not a lot of us get to work on things that we can look back on and have a 70-year-old digital rocking chair moment. So I know you guys definitely touched a lot of lives where like 100%. There's probably pretty much everyone in the Twitch chat are people that you guys have impacted. And so I think that's a testament of the amount of impact. And still they come to watch the stream on a Friday evening to hear the stories that come from this. So thanks you guys to Twitch chat. So, you know, as like all of this was happening, you guys had a really interesting problem as you guys were working at, not problem, but like an interesting change in pace, right? Like the rise of like varsity esports programs. And it's like this thing that's not clubs, but I think, you know, you guys saw, you know, huge success in club development. And then like there's a bunch, oh, hi doggo. And there was you know, and varsity esports programs started popping up left and right since I would say beginning in like 2016, and it really took a meteoric rise in like 2018. How did you guys, what was like the mental model of like, you know, TESPA's relationship with the overall varsity ecosystem?
Billy, I choose you.
Yeah, Billy, make Billy talk about varsity. We don't like that.
Well, before Billy talks, I just want to throw in my 2 cents was that I think Billy basically just Billy's the master of varsity now. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I think he is. But like at the beginning, I think when Billy was working on the problem that he lackied me to do was a lot of the time the problem with esports clubs at school was that like freshmen would join the club and sophomore year they'd be officers, but that only gives you like a 2-year really runway to like 2-3 year runway to like be an officer, and it was really hard to like keep a continuous structure with the fact that you're basically you have a 4 or 5 year turnover rate. And then so the idea was to try and bring faculty into it, and that was the initial idea. And then Billy just took it and took out all the dumb elements of shortcomings of it and just made it great. And I will send it over to Billy because he is esports.
Thank you. Yes, I am solely responsible for the varsity esports movement, and I just want to establish that now. I was very proud last year to accept the title of sole governing body of all collegiate esports, and I still hold that position to this day. First, onlyest, and longest governing body. Thank you. I joke about this stuff a lot, but at the end of the day, I mostly just sat there at Blizzard and watched these incredible programs spring up from these universities, usually at the underneath the hands of like maybe 2 or 3 amazing students who found an ally or a champion within their school's administration and convinced their school of the incredible value that their org was already bringing to the school and the incredible value that they could bring if they were just funded a little bit. The varsity, like when you talk about a varsity program, I think you're probably thinking of like maybe 30 students max, because you can only have so many rosters that are either scholarshiped or like officially selected to represent the school. But because these varsity programs were springing out of the clubs, it went from a footprint of maybe at most 30 students to a footprint of thousands of students at the campus who were all participating in and helping build this incredible structure at a school that really had never been created before. Like groups like NACE have done a fantastic job of sharing knowledge and connecting people, but they didn't have the footprint they have now 5 years ago. Back in the day, it was literally just students and then the occasional AJ Dimmick, the occasional Mark Deppy. somehow just getting it without any previous blueprint to look at and making amazing stuff happen. At this point, I've forgotten what the actual question was.
Yeah, so TESPA in its relation to varsity programs.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like I
Mr.
said, I
Governor,
kind of
Mr.
sat there and
Governor.
watched.
Yeah.
Our involvement with varsity programs at the beginning was I basically just talked to them all, started a dialogue with them, and tracked their progress year over year. Eventually, I started, and this was Alex gives me all the credit, but at the end of the day, he was the first one to make an actual varsity division. That was our first varsity division, was in Collegiate Hearthstone, where we literally said, okay, these varsity programs, there's probably a couple dozen of them, but they're incredibly special and they provide infinitely more value to a school than a simple, like a single Hearthstone team would. Let's set aside a distinct pillar within our formats for these schools. And that's when we kept doing that. We kept expanding that idea, redefining or refining the definition of what we thought a varsity program was. So the minimum requirements a school would have to meet to qualify for a varsity division. We eventually launched an entirely separate varsity program within Overwatch Collegiate. The biggest thing we realized, though, is even within varsity programs, even though it's a niche within a niche within a niche, there's a huge disparity in funding, a huge disparity in recruiting ability, and therefore competitive power. Basically, every single thing that could vary wildly from varsity program to varsity program did vary. So it was very difficult for us to find like a minimum bar to set when the bar was different in every school. But we just chose one and went with it. And occasionally a varsity program wouldn't make the minimum bar and they'd get angry at us, and we'd raise or lower the bar next time to make sure that they could join. And what we effectively had was we were able to actually cater to the entire ecosystem instead of just catering to the teams, like the student club teams, or just catering to the varsity teams. And a lot of that was due to the ingenuity of people like Alex and Nick. So that was our interaction with the varsity space. In my early days, I kind of did my best to connect the fledgling varsity programs that were out there, but I was only one person, so my efforts were dwarfed by the efforts of a group like NACE.
A lot of it, what we did was built off of what we learned from running community programs and also from running tournaments, like the team, like captains and chapter leaders and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, thank you so much. Let's see. Wrapping up this question on like legacy. All right. So what's like your favorite project that you guys got to work on?
There's so many troll answers to this question.
Yeah.
All right.
I can answer first.
Can we all agree not to talk about tournament formats?
No.
Oh my god. My favorite project I had to work on was the Collegiate Dungeon Race.
That was hype.
Won 2 years in a row by UC Irvine's team. It was not the biggest tournament in the world. It was not the coolest, but it was the uniquest, and it was also the most freaking manual work ever. World of Warcraft is a very old game, and it is very difficult to do esportsy stuff with that game. But we managed to do it. We found some of the coolest people in the space who are still my friends to this day, Sebastian and James Fitzy, for example. And I think Robert Oles was on a team too, back when he was still an actual gamer instead of doing King stuff over in Canada. But that was the first time we did a speed race sort of thing as TESPA. So there was a lot of hacking stuff together and tracking stuff manually, but it was a really fun project. And that format eventually turned into the Mythic Dungeon Invitational. So that was really awesome. That's mine.
All right, rest of you guys had enough time. Let's go. Okay, Alex.
All right, I'll go next.
Kevin can go.
Okay.
I'll give a couple quick answers. My first answer, just kind of troll, is Soylent, which I know is extremely controversial, but I remember when we actually got that deal signed, I was like jumping around in the office going like, yes, because at the time I was working on partnerships and not chapter stuff yet. But obviously they had a lot of problems. But I know there are some Soylent fans in there. So for those fans, I hope you enjoyed it because we got a lot of hate
I
for
sure
it.
did. I sure did. Thank you.
Okay, my real answers are I have two quick ones. One is TESPA University, which was mostly an art project because we never got to actually do some of the cool like web stuff that we wanted. But I really liked actually creating our own like TESPA IP with our own like TESPA characters and backgrounds and art and stuff. And I definitely got my mileage out of those art pieces because you know how hard it is to make graphics when you have no art. It's just a pain. And then my like cheesy answer is my favorite project will always be chapter councils, just because it was really fun to get everyone together in a room and talk about stuff, and everyone was always really wholesome. And there's always like a group of people who would always stay for like hours after and keep me late at the office. But I would complain about it, but it would always be a lot of fun. I know some of you guys are in chat here right now, so hope you're all doing well. But I hope that obviously TESPA is not here anymore. Sounds like I'm talking about a dead person. Obviously TESPA is like not the same anymore, but I hope that every other collegiate organization continues to actually try to have real one-on-one or like group live conversations, because I feel like we live in like a really like digital like use support chat to talk to people world, and I feel like the whole collegiate world just felt really nice and small when everyone was all in one Discord. So I hope that's a thing forever.
I guess
That was amazing. That was probably also my favorite.
Also, can we point out that Kevin is totally just catering to Twitch chat right now?
What?
Yeah, everyone popped off on the Soylent
Yeah.
to stream.
If we're agreeing to not talk about tournament formats, which I could probably sit here and have a different panel about tournament formats with a few of the folks here, I think my favorite thing that we did out of TESPA towards the later years was just getting like broadcasts done. For anybody who's done broadcasts or like has done budgeting for broadcasts, it's always rough because you have all these cool ideas and then people throw in weird bits that you need to do in your broadcast and then tell you your budget's like half of what it is. But it was always really fun for me to see like the enjoyment and the personalities of the students playing, because at the end of the day, competitors in esports events aren't like just digital ones and zeros. They're actual people, and it's always fun to see like the personalities of the people shine through. And yeah, that was a big one for me.
Nice. I'll go next. So I think the two specific things I can think of. One was running the season we did Overwatch like arena, which was it was so bad in some ways. It was the one where we did like every week, like every other weekend there were 2 tournaments, and like there was a top level and like the bottom, like and everyone else, and there was like a promotional series for where the best people from everyone would play the people who played the worst of the top, and it let the top teams play each other a bunch. And the idea was to give the lower bracket more even matches as well, so it was going to be good for everyone. Had a lot of problems, but like also it was just such a crazy time. I think the only thing that tops that for me was the last summer retreat that I was at, where it was RPG themed, and I made we did a hackathon Discord bot that had a little RPG involved. I think that was like my single favorite thing I've ever built was like this dumb little like co-op Discord RPG where people could fight and all the monsters were like pictures of different people from TESPA, so that
Oh my god, I
people
remember that.
yeah, Kevin, you were the boss of the first zone. I remember that. That was really fun.
All right, it's Valerie.
Set the standard for Discord games moving forward. So all those Poke games that you nerds play, Nick basically invented those. You're welcome.
Yeah, Nick
I think
inspired me.
I think Valerie's mic was cutting off.
Yeah, sorry about
Oh,
that.
there
I
you go.
was,
Oh, hello.
yeah, I've totally freaking agree with Nick. Like every summer retreat, everybody in TESPA would like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like it's gonna be the best freaking weekend ever. And every single year that we did like the goodie bags and seeing them walk in and come into campus, like how often do you get to say like, okay, let's fly out like 50, 20 to 50 like college leaders all across the US, bring them here for one weekend and like jam stuff, not only like as much fun as possible, but as much useful information and like head off into the year on the right note. Like, how often do you get to see that? I don't think I've seen anything else like it ever. And feel free to correct me because I would love to know about it. But to be honest, like my favorite thing to work on was honestly event supporting campaigns. Because every year I got to fight myself, but every year, like, and this isn't to be mean or anything, it's every year college leaders would be like, you aren't doing this. This doesn't meet my needs. I want it specifically catered to me. And every year I'd be like, okay, I can do it for 300 chapters. I can give you guys all everything that you want and still have it like in a way that where our database wouldn't like blow up. Like honestly, our hardest problems at TESPA was like negotiating over resources. Like we would have so many conversations over like, okay, can you do this manual thing for like another year or two so I can have this one thing? And we had so much empathy and I guess also anger towards each other during different times about that. But that was like the best part about working about this place was like knowing we were doing cool shit, even if it was gonna be super manual, just to like top ourselves in the benefit of collegiate leaders. So yeah, I liked trying to be better than my last year self. Yeah.
I want to
I
call
love
it
it.
here that
That's just so
Valerie
fitting to
was.
like the overall theme of why Tesla existed in the first place. So, and we're about to wrap things up. Um, the last 3 minutes, I can only have one question on the future of collegiate. I think that's like the last part, but I think it was just so fun, just kind of hearing all like the nuances of all the things that you guys did, like the stories. I think thanks so much for sharing that. There's like three questions. I think the first, oh, I deleted the first question. I guess like, have your guys' career goals changed since you've joined and worked at TESPA? And I ask this because a lot of us feel like once you're in collegiate esports that you want to work in it for a very long time or work in esports for a very long time. Some of uh us transition out, some of us are still here. What was the mind map for you guys in your current careers?
I guess I could start because I see everyone's pondering that question really hard, and I just have like the most meme answers. I think, well, I was in collegiate esports for like 6.5 years, and I always felt like the thing that, sorry, what was the question? So I just like
It was just
brain
like your
Oh
farted.
my
your
god,
career.
you're like
No,
take
it's
this
your
question.
career goals
Everyone
changed.
doesn't
Like
get it.
yeah,
You're like, what's
yeah.
the question?
What's the career like? Your what is your career path now? Like, how's it changed since after the 6 years?
I mean, from freshly graduating college, like just playing video games and doing esports, I like most people have no idea what they want to do. So I actually think that esports in general, and specifically just working on college esports, helped me just discover what I wanted to do in my life. And like, it doesn't need to be what you do for the rest of your life, but doing a lot of stuff with TESPA, which was like very startup-y, and like you had to take initiative and do what like needed to be done. And most of the time, it was just things that you wanted to do. So it gave me a lot of exploration potential on figuring out what I liked and what I wanted to do, because nobody would tell you no. Like you'd be like, oh, I want to manage doing tech dev or broadcast, and no one would say no. They'd be like, cool, free help. And so that was like one of the biggest things for me is like you gotta basically do whatever like aspect of working on programs that you like wanted to, and it was very helpful.
I'll say one thing. If you're doing collegiate stuff at your school right now, you probably wear too many hats. Um, the first problem I had when I started trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next after TESPA or next within TESPA was, oh God, I have 12 different things that I'm relatively okay at. And it's really satisfying at first because you're like, oh, you know, I'm my own boss. I can basically do anything I need to do. I can single-handedly carry this. But in the real life, no one does that. And no one does that for a reason. You're not supposed to do everything. You're supposed to be really good at one or two things. So what I recommend to people who are currently in any sort of involvement in their chapter or their school club now is start trying to find people who can specialize in some of the few things that you currently do that you don't want to do for a job eventually, because you're going to need to start building up a certain pillar of your hard skill, like a certain group of your hard skills to get ready for an actual career. Very rarely will you be able to find like a jack of all trades role at an esports org that would actually be fun to do. So don't try to be a jack of all trades. Delegate where you can. Find people to do the stuff that you don't explicitly enjoy. If you don't know exactly what you want to do when you grow up, so you're struggling to like actually figure out what to specialize in, just pick 2 or 3 things. No one really knows what they want to do when they're in college. I picked one and just happened to get lucky, and it's what I love to do every day. Maybe you'll do that too, or maybe it'll take you 4 or 5 tries.
I think I'll back off that, because I think one of the reasons why I'm not working right now is because I've tried a couple of orgs and I've tried working with them, and I actually learned more things about myself and how I am as an employee. TESPA afforded me so many freedoms and so much ownership that now I really won't settle for any place that won't let me have that, to be honest. It's really hard. Oh, yeah, woe is me, whatever, I'm retired. But, you know, once you know, like the glory and the heartache of like creating and nurturing something and giving something like all of you, something you truly love, like anything less than that feels stifling and insincere to the truth of who you are. And then once you find that, you really know who you are as a person, but who you are and your value as an employee. So that's why I'm retired, aka unemployed.
You gotta be your own.
Unemployed.
She's not unemployed. She's her own boss.
Yeah.
That's true, because I know myself and my weaknesses and my strengths.
I mean, I think like it's sort of the same question about choosing a college major. It's all about like figuring out what you really like and what you want to do. And I mean, I played a lot of World of Warcraft growing up, and I was like, I would never expect to be able to work at Blizzard. And then I ran a lot of tournaments. I was never expected to be paid to run tournaments. But like now, I'm maybe not as sure I would want to do either of those things. And I guess what I've learned so far is that like what I actually like is there's like something about like making an impact in a way that is relevant to my past experiences. Like I care a lot about showing the world that games aren't all bad, which is like that stigma existed way more maybe 5-10 years ago and is going away. So maybe we're doing a good job. Like I think like that, like the purpose at a more abstract level is something that works better for me as a driving force. And then like I don't know, I do product management now, but I think I could be equally happy doing a variety of other things as long as the driving force is there.
Yeah, I'll keep mine short. I just wanted to try something new, so I became a UX designer, but I probably won't do it for the rest of my life. So I'm gonna find something else afterwards. I think that's the fun part of getting into the middle of your career is you don't have to take the first job that comes your way for money anymore. You can just try to find jobs that let you learn the things you want to learn. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. It's not as many meetings. I get to just sit and listen to music and work a lot, which is actually a lot of fun. So
that's one thing I had to unlearn from my TESPA days is it's okay to not be in meetings all the time. In fact, it's better because you can actually do work.
Did Kevin just say he was in the middle of his career?
He's almost retired.
He's almost dead, dude.
He's almost done.
He's like 25.
Dude, but your second job is basically like mid.
The beginning of the middle.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
your
it's true.
second to last job is the end of that. Okay, just chill, Alex. Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. No, yeah, it's pretty much we don't know what we don't know, and it's like kind of everyone's kind of directionally pivoting all the time, and I think that's like what I think that's what's really exciting about careers is that you're not supposed to just pick and get it right the first time, and I think that's a lesson like a pattern that I've heard across everyone, and like once you know like that worth or that standard that you that standard you had with like with Valerie and like what she wants, like I think that is um definitely protect that, definitely defend that when it comes to the next job. Like I think taking your time and not settling to the next thing is a really hard decision to make, Valerie. So props to you in doing that and continue exploring. Um, so anyway, that wraps up the panel, and I have 10 minutes of Q&A, and so I'm just gonna just like powwow through them, and then if I don't hear anything, then let's just like go next. So I'm gonna just jump right in. Um, oh, okay. So why do you think publishers don't have dedicated Scholastic programs or program managers? Riot and Epic are the only two with dedicated Scholastic managers in 2021.
That's not true, is it?
Not sure, but let's
I think
remove
it
the
is
two companies. But like,
Like, I
why
know
don't they have more?
because
doesn't
Epic
Ubisoft
acquires
have a
everything.
collegiate program or whatever?
Wait, what?
At least doesn't Ubisoft have a collegiate program at least?
No, they license Collegiate R6.
I think a lot of it has to do with like the scale of their company and the ROI it brings to them because I'm not throwing shade at Nintendo or Valve, but the Nintendo and Valve approach, like to them, it works, so they don't change it, right? Like if they don't do anything, people will do it for them. And why the at a certain level in business, the mantra is why pay for something that you can get for free.
Cool.
Yeah, the ideal end state of this ecosystem is not publisher dependent because a group like Blizzard can sink so much effort into building Blizzard specific gaming communities or Blizzard specific scholastic support networks or tournaments. And then 3 years down the line, but then 3 years down the line, they have no idea if their game is going to be in vogue. So if they then go and cut funding to that thing and a significant portion of the ecosystem was depending on them, a huge portion of the ecosystem collapses. Schools are slow moving. They are very bandwagony. They're very risk averse, but that's because they've lasted centuries, and there's no video game that's lasted centuries yet.
Except for League of Legends, been around since 1928.
Back in my day, League of Legends was new. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the reason publishers don't have support structures, but I do think that's the reason it's fine and we shouldn't expect it. And in fact, I personally believe that publishers shouldn't do that, and they kind of just get in their own way.
Yeah.
Now that I no longer do it, I can say that.
Yeah.
Now that I no longer do it, I can say that.
Oh, someone stream on? Kevin?
Yeah, I think it's Kevin.
It's definitely Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Echo.
It's all good. All right. Following that, what are the most important things that collegiate leagues are doing well, and what are the areas of improvement? Biggest areas of improvement. That's a
Mainline's leagues are perfect, and there's nothing I would ever change.
all right. Next question.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
I think I'm the only one
What was the question again? Was it about leagues?
How do collegiate leagues do better? Or like, what are the best things that collegiate leagues are doing right now?
Just look at what Billy's doing and copy it.
All right.
I think I'm the only one that's still in collegiate, right? So I'm the only one that can answer this. Well, anyone could, but I'm the only one that has an axe to grind in answering it. I think, specifically from a varsity perspective, varsity programs just need more advance notice. So if you look at what the Riot Scholastic Association is doing, they're already ideating for 2 or 3 years in advance. the amount of peace of mind that gives anyone involved in a varsity program is incredible because, like I mentioned before, publisher volatility is a very real thing. Game volatility is a really real thing. At least it was before League of Legends came around. If you're planning a league, take however many months you're planning in advance and add a couple more months and just keep doing that every time you run a league. It got to a point where I was announcing stuff, I think 12 months in advance for Overwatch Collegiate, and that was still not long enough. I was still getting questions from varsity programs like, hey, what do you do in 2 years? Like what, or like, when is Overwatch 2 coming out? Stuff like that. Just give people more advance notice. Add a caveat that dates will change because no matter how late you announce stuff, you're still going to change dates. And they're expecting that, but they need to know that you're planning ahead, you're planning to do something, and their varsity rosters won't just sit around waiting for that to happen.
Well, I think that's, yeah.
And include Canada.
Include Canada. So more lead time, more transparency, dates. I think like the Pac-10, like they have the schedule for the Pac-10 for like 10 years or something, and everyone knows their dates and everyone's comfortable. So, gotcha. How can, as industry professionals, create more career opportunities for collegiate esports program leaders? How can we better prepare them to transition into the industry after school? A loaded question too. Good question, chat.
Internships apparently are helpful.
Internship's good. Like well-designed and paid contract opportunities.
If you do contract stuff, give it a finite endpoint.
Isn't that like a legal thing too?
Now it is, yeah. I don't know if it was before, but if it was, oops.
Oops.
Honestly, I think the whole industry could also do a better job finding ways to better standardize and explain the main like career paths in the industry. One of the things I think is the biggest pain point for college students is like every company like titles their like various roles in like really strange ways, even though they're really the same thing. And so like producers at one company and like product managers at another company and like program managers and like production coordinators and all these things. It's all like kind of confusing. So I feel like a lot of people still don't know like what the most like what the main jobs in the gaming and esports industry are. And it'd be really nice if you know, like if you want to become like a financial analyst or something, it's like super well defined now, like exactly what you have to do, but it's still not like really obvious what you have to do to become like a broadcast director, like an EP or something. So I wish that was the case.
And that only hurts the people, the individuals, by the way. Companies don't care because they take advantage of that that lack of structure, that lack of rigor to underpay or overset expectations. And it's not even necessarily because they're malicious. It's just because they're watching out for their bottom line and they will capitalize on that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's another thing that governance would really help solve. But governance is just such a loaded topic and such a challenging thing to accomplish.
Also, if gaming career paths were like better defined and better understood, I feel like parents would be more cool with people doing or like studying and learning and getting into those things rather than like what most college students do is like pretend they're doing a CS degree and then like secretly be like learning how to use OBS. So I wish you didn't have to do that.
That would be great. I did notice a thing in chat about esports degrees. Try to picture what esports looked like 4 years ago. Now imagine if you started taking an esports degree 4 years ago and now you just graduated with an esports degree with a curriculum that was designed 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Just be careful.
You don't want more depth. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Valerie, Nick, anything to add?
Yeah, I think that. Okay, Valerie, please go first.
No, honestly, I just want to add to that part about esports degrees. You can get all of your shit for free. Just go ask to do interviews, one-on-ones with a bunch of people. Oh my God. And I say this knowing several people that actually taught like esport courses. Like, I mean,
That'd be
is it
lame.
as is it as much of a racket as it is like a full degree? No, but I mean, if you can't get your foot in the door, I understand like why you would pay for those courses. But it, it is very surprising the amount of time people will give you for free. That's all I'm saying. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
If you're genuine and reactive and excited,
Yes.
don't be entitled.
Yeah, totally. I think that one thing that I've learned from starting Melee tournaments and Overwatch tournaments, just being at Blizzard, watching all this TESPA stuff happen, is that if you are providing a game or a tournament experience or a community or whatever, not all of your users are going to treat you equally. Like some of them will really care a lot more about what you're doing than others, and they will like become your biggest allies. Like we talked about earlier, the chapter council. We did that with Overwatch too. We had like the Overwatch Illuminati, where basically like when we had a crazy idea, we ran it by these like small group of people who were NDA'd. I think to a smaller extent, all 5 of us were also those like passionate collegiate esports organizers, right? Before we joined TESPA, and I think that that's an area that companies could do a lot better in, including Blizzard, like taking the fans who really care the most and are willing to put the most work in. I mean, I was doing this for Nintendo for free for like 4 years, and basically creating a path for those types of people to double down, to ideally make their own money while also supporting your product. I think that's really the key of turning something into an ecosystem, is giving space for other groups of people to contribute. I think that's a good way of giving students experience and for us to push like the entirety of this thing forward. So that's something that I hope to see more of in the future for sure.
Probably not from Nintendo though.
Probably not from Nintendo, but who knows? It also is a company and things could change.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. That's the After TESPA panel. Thank you so much, chat, for asking and popping off during the Soylent comments. Thank you, Billy, Nick, Valerie, Alex, and Kevin for sharing your stories and like all the exciting projects that my favorite one was like your funnest project to work on, because I got to see like limelights of those throughout the years. So thanks so much for sharing that for the rest of everyone. All right, guys, thank you so much for spending your Friday night with us. Enjoy the weekend.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
Friday.
Drink
Bye,
water.
everyone. Light the flame.
Light the flame.
Light the flame and drink water.